Hey guys, welcome to Conceptual Geometry, Lesson 3.6, Properties of a Rhombus Continued. Just a super quick review. We did this in class, or you watched the YouTube video on the properties of a rhombus, and we discussed here the big one. The defining characteristic is that a rhombus has 4 equal sides. And then there are a couple other cool properties that involve the diagonals. Number one, the diagonals are perpendicular, so they make 4 right angles in the center, and they bisect the angles. So the opposite angles are bisected, so those 4 would be congruent, and these 4 would be congruent also. So what we're going to do next, we're going to continue where we left off on example 3. All right, so assuming this is a rhombus, if AD is 5x minus 7 and DC equals x plus 33, find the perimeter of rhombus ABCD. Obviously, the difficulty here is the rhombus is not drawn for you, so we are going to draw one. And I know you see a lot of them drawn like this in the notes, maybe on quizzes, but if I have to draw my own rhombus, I always find it easier to draw it like a diamond. So I prefer to draw it like this. I think it's easier to sketch for one, and it kind of reminds me of the properties of a rhombus. All 4 sides are equal. It does not matter where you start to label, but just make sure when you do label, you go around in a circle. So if I start here with an A, then I have to go around this direction, or I could go around this direction. So I'll call this A, B, C, D. Okay, so AD, this side down here is 5x minus 7, and DC is x plus 33, and obviously since it's a rhombus, all 4 sides are equal. I'm just going to take those two expressions and set them equal. So I've got 5x minus 7 equals x plus 33. I'll subtract x from both sides, and I'll add 7 to both sides. So my x's will be over here on the left. My numbers will be over there. That gives me 40. Divide by 4, x equals 10. Now that's the easy part of this problem. It wants me to find the perimeter. So remember, the perimeter is what we get when we add all the sides. We haven't really talked about perimeter a lot yet, but just remember that's add all sides. So what I need to do now is I need to find a side. Okay, so it doesn't matter what side you find, they're both the same. Let's find DC. X plus 33, 10 plus 33 is 43. So that's the length of this side. That's the length of all sides. So if I want to find the perimeter, I can add all the sides, or since they're all the same, multiply by 4. 4 times 43 is 172. There's the perimeter of that rhombus. Okay, in example 4, we're going to go back to talking about angles. I give you one angle measure, angle ADB. So let's trace it, ADB. So I'm talking about this angle right here is 23 degrees. So let's mark that in the figure, 23 degrees. Now, before I even pay attention to this stuff here, what I know in a rhombus, I mark this right away. Diagonals are perpendicular, so I know all of these are right angles. The diagonals also bisect the angle, so I know all 4 of those are equal. And then all 4 of these are equal. So that's what I like to mark in the figure before I do anything else. So I know these 4 are all going to be equal. So that's going to be 23. And I might need them, I might not need them, I don't know, but I know those are all going to be 23. I know these are all 90. And then if I need to find this angle here, remember, the nice thing about a rhombus is that it has 4 congruent right triangles. So whatever I find for this angle here, I know would go here, and here, and here. So to get that angle, I would take 180 minus 90 minus 23, and that's going to give me 67. So all these other angles are 67. Okay, so let's see. Find the measure of angle 1, that's 23 degrees. Find the measure of angle ABC. Well, we have to do a little bit of math here. ABC. It's going to be both of these put together. So that's going to be 23 plus 23, or 23 times 2. That's going to be 46. Measure of angle DCB. DCB. CB. So that's going to be this whole angle, which is 67 plus 67. That's going to give me 134. Measure of angle 2 I already got is 67. That's labeled in the figure. Measure of angle 3, 90 degrees. So kind of a challenging problem there, but remember, it's got 4 congruent right triangles. So all these angles in the middle are 90. The opposite angles are bisected, so all 4 of those would be equal, and then the other opposite angles would be equal as well. All right, next example. In the accompanying diagram of rhombus ABCD, AC and BD are diagonals intersecting at point M. What is the perimeter? So we're seeing that perimeter again. That means I'm going to have to add all the sides of the rhombus if DB is 12. Now, this is going to be a little bit challenging because notice this is DB right here. The whole diagonal is 12. Well, one of the things that we want to understand, I don't want to clutter up my diagram here, but the diagonals bisect each other. So those two segments are going to be congruent, and these two are going to be congruent. So if this whole segment here is 12, this piece is going to be 6. So that's what I'm going to label. I'm just going to label that one piece here as 6. All right, and then it tells me AC is 16. So again, AC is this. So if this whole thing is 16, then just this part here is 8. So just that part is 8. Now, one of the most common mistakes made on this type of problems, you're going to see it several times, is forgetting to take half of these. If I give you the whole diagonal, you take half of it to represent one side, because what we have here is a right triangle. All right, so I'm just going to focus my attention on this triangle right here. I need to find that side first. Leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. All right, remember that, the Pythagorean theorem? So that's what I'm going to use first. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 6 squared plus 8 squared equals, we'll call it X squared. Put this into the calculator, you get 100 equals X squared. You square root that. X is 10. So the side of this rhombus is 10. To find perimeter, since they're all the same, I'm going to take 4 times 10. So the perimeter of that rhombus is 40. Okay, moving on. The length of each side of rhombus is 13. If the length of the shorter diagonal is 10, find the length of the longer diagonal. So again, this one's not drawn for you. Let's draw a diamond, which is also known as a rhombus. The length of the side is 13, so they're all 13. Now I'm hoping you can see here, I'll use different colors. The shorter diagonal is this one, the way I drew mine. The longer diagonal is going to be this one. So it says the shorter diagonal is 10. So this is kind of like what we did up above. This diagonal here is 10, which means just this piece is going to be 5. So you have to kind of watch out for that. This is going to be 5. And then I want to find the length of the longer diagonal. Well, I need to find this length. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this triangle here. I'm going to call that X. And I'm going to focus on this triangle right here. I know it's a right triangle. Again, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. The way I'm going to set this up is going to be x squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. Because now the legs are x and 5. They make the right angle. Okay, so solving this, I'll subtract 5 squared from both sides. And remember, you're going to just throw this right into the calculator. I don't care what 13 squared is. I don't care what 5 squared is. I just want you to put in 13 squared minus 5 squared. Let the calculator do the work. That's 144. Square root it. X is 12. So remember, what is 12? 12 is just this. That's 12. What's the question I want you to find? The longer diagonal. So basically what we need to know now is that this is 12, as is that piece. So the diagonal is going to be be 12 plus 12, which is 24. Got it. All right, our last example. They gave us the rhombus. It says measure of angle BAD. BAD. So that's this whole angle right here is 22 degrees. Well, remember some of the properties of a rhombus we talked about. Number one, diagonals are perpendicular. So all of these are right angles. And the diagonals bisect the angles. So these four are all going to be congruent. And these four will all be congruent. So if they tell me that this whole angle here is 22 degrees, I know each one of these has to be 11, right? Because 11 and 11 is 22. So let's mark that in the figure. 11 degrees there, 11 degrees there, 11 degrees there, 11 degrees there. Okay, it says AC is 80. Well, that's this whole diagonal. That whole thing is 80. Well, I'm probably not going to use the whole diagonal. I'm probably going to use half of it. So if the whole thing is 80, half of it's going to be 40. So I'll label my sides with red. 40 and 40. DB is 60. So that means this whole thing is 60, which means each piece has to be 30 and 30. Okay, so let's label that 30 and 30. Okay, first question. Find the measure of angle ABD. ABD. So it's an angle, all right, not a side. So I'm not using the 40, I'm not using the 30. I want to find the measure of this angle right here. So I'm going to focus my attention on this triangle. This angle right here is 90. That's 11. So to get this angle, I do 180 minus 90 minus 11. All right, I believe that's going to be 79 degrees. So that angle is going to be 79 degrees. Okay, now I want to find the perimeter of the rhombus. So now I'm dealing with the sides. So forget about the angles. Now you're dealing with the sides. And again, I want to focus my attention on this bottom triangle because all the four triangles are going to be the same. So if I can get this value of x right here, I know that that's x, and that's x. So once again, we're going to use Pythagorean theorem. Okay, let's just call this x. And these are the two legs, 30 and 40. So this will be 30 squared plus 40 squared equals x squared. I'm just going to put this right into the calculator. Big number, 2,500 equals x squared. Square root it. X is 50. So this side here is 50. Since it's a rhombus, all four sides are the same, so they're all 50. The perimeter is going to be 4 times 50, or 200. Okay? So that concludes day 6 notes on rhombuses. Now you guys have more than enough information to go ahead and do Delta Math Homework 3.6. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.